sounds better to me.
It's like,
I think,
Go ahead.
sorry, the public didn't hear any of that because we were on mute. So I
Oh.
apologize for that.
Okay,
But we can keep going on.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Archie.
Okay, so this is these public sector employers compensation report. I shared everything in Zoom, so or it's up on the screen if you like to take a look. So this is basically one of the requirements that the Ministry of Education requires us to disclose the top 4 earners in each school district. So what happens is we gather all of the payroll information, which includes what salary is paid to the top 4 employees in district, benefits, pension, and other compensation, which I'll go into in a second. And then it has a couple columns on previous year's compensation for comparison purposes. So just to let everybody know, this report was due to BCPC last Friday, October 8th. So I submitted this on Friday, and what happens after that, BCPC just reviews all the information, make sure that it looks reasonable and it has the proper disclosures and information in there for the public. So they review it and then they send it to the Ministry of Education, and then they kind of like do the double check before it gets posted to the public. And then this information gets posted on the website, the ministry's website, to the public for all school districts. So all school districts have this deadline. So that's what this page is.
Just a question, why is Paul and Chris's different by about $2 or $3? And their
So
salary, both doing the same job.
the salary, yeah. So I will go through some of the differences in a minute.
Okay.
Because there's some timing differences from when they got their increases.
Right.
So that's probably why. Okay, so then the next section is, this makes up the other compensation column on the previous page. So for instance, this column here for Lisa, this is all other compensation, 18,806. So that's made up of her vacation payout and her vehicle allowance. And then you'll see the same for Paul and Chris. So it's vacation payout, but only the superintendent has a vehicle allowance. So, and then the secretary treasurer last year didn't have any vacation payout, so there's nothing there. So, and then on the next page actually goes through some of the reasons for the changes. So a new policy was implemented during the year where unused vacation payout occurred on December 15th, 2020. So there was a new policy that we implemented last year. So basically anybody that didn't take their vacation time, they were only allowed to carry forward 1 week of vacation. And so that's why you will see this year compared to the previous, like this past year prior compared to the other prior years, you'll see that there's extra compensation in there due to the vacation payouts, which we didn't have that policy before. And then if you compare like Paul's to Chris's, you can see that there is a tiny difference. So Paul actually got his increase of 5.26% effective January 1st, the first one, and then actually Chris got his April 1st, 2020, and it's based on there's 2 increases done for them in the prior year. This was actually done prior to the start of the year because after, as of August 31st, 2020, there was an executive compensation freeze put on for everybody across all school districts. So prior to August 31st, 2020, both Chris and Paul had 2 increases, and then one of them was based on their anniversary dates. So they have 2 different anniversary dates. And then the other one was like the yearly rate change. So that's why they're a little bit different.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, so BCPC is very specific about putting this, like being very transparent about the disclosures on when the increases happen and how much they were and all that stuff. So this is, this hasn't been posted yet because it's still sitting with them for review, but it's been sent into. Okay. other questions?
So when we look at increases of, let's say, 5%, would that be something that happens every 3 years, or how does that? What sort of timing increment would we expect to see for those sorts of increases?
I think it just depends, like this year, they're still frozen, so they were frozen last year and they're still frozen this year. So we won't be seeing anything while the freeze is still in place. For the secretary, treasurer, assistant superintendent, and like for the both assistant superintendent positions. For the superintendent, the BCPC can't, they can't make you freeze the salaries because they're not employees. Or sorry, school district, they're employees of the board. So it's really up to the board for those decisions. So the timing on that just depends. But typically you would see an increase based on the anniversary date and then the grade
So
movement.
every year,
You would normally, but right now, so just to give you the background on the executive compensation freeze, the rationale for that they've done that across all school districts is because of the heavy spending for COVID-19, that the ministry, or sorry, the government has spent so much money on COVID-19, they're kind of trying to watch our spending in general.
and then how is the rate decided?
So it's like a grid that's come up. Yeah, and then that's, yeah, so the grid gets approved by BCPC, and then we have to follow what BCPC's guidelines are. However, BCPC is actually coming up with a new methodology in the next year, so we'll see what comes out of that.
So we see annual executive increases that are based on a predetermined grid. So that is how, like, it's very formulaic in how these things are done. I'm just reiterating my understanding for the benefit of the public as well, so that they understand how these executive increases.
For now, that's how it is. We could see a change. We're coming to that in the next year or so. So we're looking at that.
And right now, it's not.
Right now, it's frozen.
May I?
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously before, when this was the first group was coming out, so just for the viewers and the public's benefit, our grid, we're part of the Metro Vancouver grid. So it's for reasons such as, recruitment, retention, etc. So we're on the same grid as other Metro school districts. And, from cost of living to other rationales, keeping pace with teacher increases, PP, et cetera, like it's all sector wide. So yeah, it's all done at the BCPC level, and different regions will have slightly different grids, but we're in the Metro region grid.
I think it's important for us to contextualize, at any time this sort of discussion comes up, I think that it's really important, because I know that it is extremely complex and there's a lot of things that play into it, just for the public's benefit to understand.
Any other questions? Compensation?
Awesome, thank you. So up next, we have the district budget overview, and that's you again, Danielle.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna pass it off to Ellen.
So if I should bring up this slide, this funding allocation, please. So this is an overview of the revised per pupil school allocation, school funding allocation for 2021-2022 school year. The Ministry of Education provides this year $7,885 per student of funding for standard and undergraduate education schools. So this is $76 per student increase comparing to just the previous year funding. And how we allocate further through the schools is the finance from the ministry is to capture this increase and also to compensate, to offset the increased teacher standard cost. So the cumulative increase on each column is approximately par So that, whatever increase we receive per student from the ministry, we allocate down to the schools to, offset increased teachers' pepper cost. This is proposed to be part of full budget 2021-2022. The school budgets will have this allocation of $5,250 per student, and $105,611 of teacher cost. And so the difference between spring budget as we planned and the new operational grant budget for fall would give us, you cannot see there on the bottom, the amount is $421,093. Increased funding. That's all. It's only to the funded student enrollments, which is the next topic. So yes, you can.
What's the difference between ministry funding and the people? What the 5,000 is the state on?
So the blue column is what the ministry gives operating grant per student. And because we have site-based management, so schools are essentially managing their own school budgets. So we have to allocate the same per student amount, but to cover teachers' costs and their operational budgets, and to leave some funds for central revenues to manage like psychologists, itinerant staff, like all support office, and also maintenance and transportation grants services.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, then we have next the funded student enrollment.
Or she will bring.
Yeah.
So it's the data collection time, which started at snapshot date, September 29th. And this data collection collects full-time equivalent of student enrollment, and it contributes and drives the funding. So as of September 29th, we have 5,300 student FTE. And this is 12 students, 12 FTE more than we build our spring budget. Besides this 12 student FTE, we also have the increase of per student ministry allocation, which will result in, like I said, $451,093 additional funding. So this will help us to offset additional expenditures and full budget. So total funded FTE, like I said, 5,313 student FTE. And this compares 41 student FTE hired to last September. And 12 student FTE hires in our spring budget, as we estimated our students as of September, but actually it's 12 FTE students. So this is funded student, the numbers are pretty much final, and so the data collection process is still in progress, it's not finished, but it will be very, very few main changes. Student that's all.
We did pretty good at our estimation.
Yeah.
Not bad. Any questions? Seeing none, I think you did a fantastic job and it was clear.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
Now it looks like, oh,
No questions.
Nope, no questions.
You're off the hook.
You're off the hook.
I'm assuming.
Looks like we have a recommendation there.
That the finance committee recommend the Board of Education approve the amended school allocation system as presented.
Thank you, Rachel. Second, Ian, all in favor? And that is carried. And I determine that we have completed the business of this agenda and we are adjourned at 1:33. That brings us to, oh, we're on a break. We're supposed to be breaking until 2:15. Do we want to just take 15 and start the camera?
Yeah.
Okay,
What's
That was
the
the-
250?
2:50, perfect.
yeah, so we can get through some and then.
So I'm just gonna end the meeting. We're still streaming.
Yeah.